we move on to the ugly, which unfortunately we sort of mentioned the Cleveland Browns a moment ago. Maybe Joe Flacco could be a candidate to be maybe traded to there because Deshaun Watson, Cleveland Browns quarterback, has suffered a season-ending Achilles injury. It's been announced today during the 21-14 loss to the Bengals. Obviously, he came off during the game. That's made him 1-6 on the season now. However, the ugly being what has been in the media a lot, which is that he was pretty much booed and heckled at the stadium. Lots of players have come out after the game defending Deshaun Watson. I'm going to, for the sake of it, keep the allegations and stuff that's happened outside of football, because if I'm honest, if everyone was bothered about that in Cleveland, he would be booed every single game since they came out, and that hasn't been the case. They booed and heckled him at this point because of how this season has been going, and also because of what has happened with getting Watson there, which has essentially crippled the organization financially, draft pick wise, since they traded for him with Houston in 2022. Johnny, thoughts on the boos and the heckles? Firstly, deserved in terms of deserved because of the frustrations of the fans.
Yeah,
I think we're both in agreement here. No injured player should be booed. We're both in agreement on that.
Absolutely. I think this is the latest and probably the final chapter in what has just been an awful story for Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. Like I say, I don't want to speak ill of someone who's done his Achilles and he's going to be out for not just the rest of this year but potentially a long time. And obviously we wish him well in his recovery. But unfortunately, I think he's played his last snap for as a member of the Cleveland Browns. I think just as we discussing the young quarterback, obviously making a decision whether or not he is or isn't the answer. It's clear that Deshaun Watson isn't the answer at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. It's been a disastrous start to the season when compared to last season. Just how well they were getting to the playoffs and looking, a really competitive team with Joe Flacco. But yeah, this has been obviously the worst trade in, I think, not just sport, not just the NFL, but in potentially in sport. I saw a stat earlier. If this is his final game, each win. So I think he's won 9 games as the Browns starting quarterback. Each win, because his whole contract is guaranteed, would have cost the Browns $25.5 million, which is just absolutely mind-boggling. But yeah, unfortunately it has been disastrous, and a large part of that has been because of Deshaun Watson's quarterback play. What do they do for the rest of the year now? The Browns, it's obviously difficult. They as we saw, I think DTR coming in didn't really do too much before his injury. Whether Jameis Winston now becomes a starting quarterback,
he's exempt. He's on 2-game ban.
Of course, exactly. He's got unfortunately, it's just such a dumpster fire now.
What's an even worse pill to swallow about all this is Cleveland Brown fans at this point must be now like, just get rid. We just need to get rid. Yeah. If they cut him in 2025 post 1st of June, the cap hit is $72 million. And then the cap hit in 2026 is $99 million. The money is cleared after 2027. So not only is this has damaged the Browns the last few years and is damaging the Browns currently, it is going to damage the Browns for another 2 years. And it's just insane. And
yeah, it's one of those, they just have to swallow this pill, unfortunately, because the decision making from that trade, like looking back, that how on earth?
I've got the list of players that the Texans have got out of this. Do you want me to read them for you?
Go on.
Right. Okay. So, admittedly, not original picks. These picks get moved around, but this is basically the players that have come from this trade. The 2020 the first round picks for the last 3 years has turned into Kenyon Green, William Anderson, Kamari Lassiter, Jamal Hill. The 2022 fourth round pick turned into Damian Pierce. Admittedly, that has not gone well. The 2023 third round pick is Tank Dell. Admittedly, not gone well this year, but we don't know why that is. I think that is the Texans going wrong a little bit. And then the 2024 fourth round pick is Caleb Bullock. I would say, given what has happened in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson, that 2, 4, 6, 7 players, one of which may potentially be a Hall of Famer one day, in I would say William in terms of Will Anderson. Not on current play, but he looks that sort of player, doesn't he? Like if he can keep the trend going, he is going.
No reason why not.
He's going to go so far with his career if he keeps up going what he's doing. I don't know why I put William Anderson as well. That's so stupid. It's Will Anderson. It's always William. I had no idea how. It's obviously clearly type errored when I've been doing something. It's just wild. I just do not get how after mistake after mistake after mistake, it was just such a desperation move in the end. Such a desperation move. The list was as long as my arm of quarterbacks that came before. And then Baker Mayfield was meant to be the answer. Now look at Baker Mayfield in Tampa. You know, it's a little bit like the Jets seeing Sam Darnold in Minnesota. Organizations that are top down ran poorly will never get it right. I just don't think they will ever get it right. And that's harsh to the Jets. I'm sorry, but you've seen it. Bad organizations that have badly run, it's a massively trickle down effect where you will not turn it around. There has to be a whole cultural change with it.
100%, 100%. And I resonate a lot with Browns fans, particularly because the Jets are another awful organization when it comes to these sort of things. As unfortunately, it looks like their latest blockbusters, not to be just terrible moves. But there has to be, I think, a real season obviously over for the Browns, and I think they should fully embrace the rebuild in terms of I think Kevin Stefanski will be fired.
It signaled that also with the Amari Cooper trade. I think
exactly.
I feel like that was like we've got to do something.
And it has to be. And I fear for Myles Garrett as well. Obviously he's
man, go to Detroit. Go to Detroit and go win a Super Bowl this year. There is a spot for you. Like that's actually something that's not. But that is one name that's not been discussed anywhere about like that. Would you as Detroit take the best, in some people's opinion, the best edge rusher in the NFL to go and get yourself? So like that's what I'm talking about with teams like you were saying. We've said about the Colts and the Lions. I would get if you paid the house now for someone like Myles Garrett. I would get it. You can go and win a Super Bowl. You're in that bubble. The Colts are not in that bubble, so you have got time to be able to prepare for the next coming years. And
they've got the resources to do that. They've got the contracts they have. Obviously Jared Goff is come on to it a bit later. He's playing MVP standard without necessarily having that sort of price tag in terms of what they're paying him. I'm sure they can afford Myles Garrett. They've been linked with Max Crosby. He will be so expensive. But the Browns are in a. I'm sure they're going to be in a bit of a fire sale as we've started to see. Surely they've been on the phone to Myles Garrett. Even though he seems like the perfect player to base a team around, and he felt they were getting somewhere last year. I really did think they were getting somewhere. They've got some really good pieces around the team, but injuries and obviously the Watson not performing at the level he has. I think it's just such a I feel so sorry for the Browns fans because I don't know. Obviously at the time there was so much animosity around Watson, and obviously there still is, and the trade it felt like it was never going to work, and it hasn't. And I think the Browns just need to bite the bullet, over the next few months, and really, concentrate on looking towards the draft and bring some young, exciting, good culture fits into that franchise. And
but the
yeah,
problem is, Johnny, like I said, this is like a 3-4 year project. They now have to
yeah, of
go on
course.
the next
But,
reset. Like
of
it's
course
just
it is. But
mental.
you look at obviously the Texans were a team we talked about probably 2 or 3 years ago. Obviously long before they drafted CJ Stroud, said what a dumpster fire of a franchise, that is. But and they've been able to, they've been a little bit of a nice model. I suppose, we still see the same usual suspects in terms of the Browns, Jets, and Panthers. But if you can just do a big cleanup internally and manage to offload players, and obviously what the Texans did, some players who probably good culture fits, but were getting on a little bit, and you didn't really want to start a rebuild with those people in the building. If we can somehow just ship them out and start again. I hope the Browns can eventually find some sort of success, because it must be absolute torture supporting that franchise.
I absolutely don't. As a Steelers fan, I am more than happy you stay with what you are doing, Browns fans and Browns organization. For the final